Okay, so I'm going to cover the very basics of page layout in InDesign. How to place images, how to scale them, how to deal with images in general, and how to use text. Now, we are not going to work on page 1. If you look in our project brief, page 1 is our front cover. Your front cover is your chance to be creative, do something unique. However, since we're just talking about the basic layout, we're going to start with page 2. So we're going to, for this demo, we're going to skip page 1. We're going to come back to it later. So just as an overview, page 1 is the front cover. Pages 2 through 6 will be the images that you processed in part 1. Page 8 will be your back cover, which is going to be left blank. You want to leave your back cover blank, nothing but a page number. That's where I'm going to write your grade for this project. And in between here, I have broken it out for you. Page 2 should have your image 1 in caption. Page 3 should have your image 2 in caption. Page 4 should have image 3 in caption. Page 5 should have image 4 in caption. Then page 6 is going to be slightly different. It's going to have images 5 through 9 and a caption. So that's the one interior page that's going to be slightly different. So let's talk about it. Let's go to page 2 of our layout. And if it's set up properly, it's going to look like this. If yours is not set up properly, go back to the previous video and see what you did differently. Everything in InDesign is based on boxes. So you put images inside of boxes, and you put text inside of boxes, and everything is in boxes. And we call these boxes frames. Now, frames are a good way to think about it because they have art or they have text inside of them. And you may or may not even see the edge of the frame. You may or may not see all of the art, depending on how it's positioned within the frame. And you also remember the images are not contained within the InDesign file. InDesign is looking to these external image files. So it's really a frame, like a window frame, giving you a view to this other file, this other image, or that's showing you. All right, so I've just used this rectangle tool to draw a frame. I'm matching it to my page grid, and I'm going to go with it selected with the black arrow key. Just as a general rundown, the black arrow tool selects the objects themselves, it selects the frames. The white arrow generally controls the contents of the frames. So with the black arrow selected, that means I have this frame selected, file, place, and I go to my images, and I want to place image 1 here. Now, if I go to, this is the difference between the two arrows. If I click it with the black arrow, I move the whole image frame, which I don't want to do. I'm going to put it back in place. What I want to do, if I click with the white arrow, I want to move the image around within the frame. And you can see that it's only showing a very small part of the image within the frame. If I zoom way out with my command minus, I can see this brown outline. That is the outline of the entire photo. Now I can manipulate this in a couple of ways. Using the white arrow, I can grab the edge of the photo, holding down Shift to keep it proportional. It's very important to keep it proportional so that you don't distort your image. I can scale it down this way. So that brings it within the neighborhood of size. I can zoom back in with Command+. And there I have my whole photo in the frame. I'm going to just go back a second again to how it was. It showed up at 100% size. Let's say I want to do this a different way. There's another way to do it. With the image selected with the white arrow, I can center it within. I can go here to my scale. This is how large or small the image is scaled within the frame. So it's now at 100%. I can say, let's say what 20% looks like. I have this chain icon clicked, then I can, then it will keep the width and height proportional. You always want to keep the width and height proportional, otherwise you'll distort your photo. Please don't distort your photo. I can click down with the arrow, and that is another way to do it. I want to bring it up a little bit more in size so that it fills the entire height of my box. All right, and then there is another way to do it. I have lost my here we go. So these boxes, these give you two options. One is to fit the content to the frame. If you click that, it will scale the image to the frame. Now you may notice it looks like our pharmacist got a little taller. If we go up here, it's because it scaled it disproportionately. The width is 11.6, the height is 12.4. You may say, well, does that really matter? Yeah, it does, because we can see a difference. This guy looks taller. He looks taller. That bus that looks like it was tipping over looks even more so. I'm going to be looking out for things like this. So make sure that you keep your image proportional. The other option here, there's one to center the content within the frame, which I find really useful. And then fit frame to content. So if you say, I want to show every last pixel, you can fit the frame to the content. I don't want to do that because we want, for this project, we want our frame to be representative of, we want it to fit our page grid. Now, I have two options here because the aspect ratio of my photo is slightly different from my page grid. So no matter what I do, I'm gonna, if I want to go to this full height, some of the width is going to be cut off. All right? If I go to the full width, then my photo doesn't go to the full height. You don't need to be absolutely married to the page grid. Now in this case I could say, well, there's no details on the extreme left and right that I think I need, but I'm not going to say that because I really like the way we see a little bit of blue here in this doorway and this little bit of bright orange on the side of this building. I want the extreme left and right of this photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my frame fit the content and have the entire photo in there and have it fall a little short of that grid line. That's fine. The grid is a tool. It's not a prison cell. We don't absolutely have to match everything. If I didn't think the left and right sides were important, I could make this larger within the frame and make it go to the full height of my grid. It's really an aesthetic decision that's up to you. Think about how well the photo is being displayed. Think about the overall composition of the page. You may also, if my photo is a landscape orientation, meaning it's wide. If your photo is instead a portrait orientation, you may change the aspect of the box. You may make it four grid squares tall, or even 5, if it works for your image. If you have a square photo, you may want a square image frame like this. You do want to show most of the image. You don't want to crop it so dramatically that you've changed its meaning. But work within your page grid to best showcase your photo. The other thing I want to say is you want to have the same size and cropping throughout. You want all of these interior pages to have a very similar size and cropping. And that's so that when you are flipping through the pages of your booklet, you can very easily compare the photos. If one photo is much larger than the rest, it's hard to compare them. So you want a similar size and cropping for every photo in your booklet. Alright, so this is how I've decided to position my photo 1. I'm going on page 2. I'm going to add a caption to that effect. And I just used the text tool, the type tool, to draw a text box here. And after you've drawn a text box, you get this flashing text cursor. And you simply start typing. Image 1. Your job with these captions is to describe the photos, to describe what each photo is. You can do that succinctly. You don't need to write a whole novel here. In fact, I'll urge you to stay away from overly complicated writing. Just keep it simple, to the point. Just explain what it is and what you did. So, I'm going to say image 1, original image from camera. No image processing. You may choose to make your captions go the full width. You may choose to make them go 3 grid squares. I think I'm going to make them go 2. So they're half the width of my images. And one last thing I want to show you guys is how to check the image's resolution. Alright, so I click on the image, I go to my links palette, which I don't see available here, so I go to Window, Links. This shows the image that I am linking to here. Remember, this image is not placed within InDesign. It is referring to the outside image file. So, underneath my links, I have link info, and this tells you a bunch of handy information about the image. So, what it's telling me is the actual pixels per inch of the file is 72 pixels per inch. The effective PPI, this is important, this is how many pixels per inch you have when the image is scaled to this size, is 614. which is great. You want your effective PPI to be at least 300, effective PPI. So you want to check this for all your photos. I have 614. It's more than double my minimum, which is great. You can be above 300, no problem. If you fall below it, you're going to have a problem. And that problem specifically is that your images will start to look chunky and pixelated and bitmapped. So I'm done with page 1, or page 2, pardon me, image 1, page 2. And I could go through all of that process again on page 3, but I'm going to be lazy and do it the easy way. So I select, with the black arrow tool, I select both my image and my caption. I'm going to hold down the Option key and slide over to the right to make a copy. That's the same way you can slide to make a copy in Illustrator. It works here in InDesign too. I'm going to go to select this photo box on page 3 and hit place. If you select the photo box with contents already and place a new image in, it will place it at the same size and scale as the one that you are replacing. So this makes it really easy for a situation like this, because it'll preserve my exact scaling and cropping. Alright, so this is, and then if you go to your text, your type tool, you can now select all this type and retype it. So and again, I just want my captions to be simple, just simply explain what happened. The one thing I'm going to do, just to be a little bit fancy, is on my right-hand pages, I'm going to move the caption out here to the outside 2 squares. This is a little bit of, this is up to you. Where you place the image captions, how you position them, just make sure that they're consistent from page to page. Now, you may be asking, well, isn't this inconsistent? Yes and no. My left-hand page, my page 2, it's on the 2 outside grid squares. Remember, this is the outside of my left page. This is the outside of my right page. So it's on my 2 outside grid squares of my right page, too. So in a sense, it is just like the page numbers, which are, you know, towards the outside margin on both pages. It's not the same position on my left and right hand pages, but it's consistently placed. And I'm also going to, whatever I do on these 2 pages, I'm going to consistently do on pages 4 and 5 and pages 6 and 7, so that all my left and right hand pages are consistently designed. Now again, I can just simply grab all this, copy, Command-C, go to my page 4, paste, and paste it into place. And for page 4, I want image 3. I don't exactly remember what image 3 is, so I'm going to go back to part 1 of my brief. Oh, that's right. Image 3 is the vector art. So image 3, I'm going to say image converted to vector art. That's all your captions have to be. They just need to be descriptive. Page 5 will be image 4. Which is our black and white. So, image converted to grayscale. And you want to do this for the entire book, the entire booklet. I'm going to do my next spread and then show you how to handle images 5 through 9. Or I'm sorry, images 6 through 9. So page 6 should be file place, image 5. Which is our duotone. Image converted to duotone. Make sure that you number them correctly. It's an easy mistake to make when you're copying and pasting image boxes or text boxes to not copy them, to not update the text properly. So our last page, interior page, page 7, we're going to show images 6 through 9. And you want to do two things. You want to show all 4 images, and you want to list what filters were used. So here's where you have to write a little bit more. You need to have remembered your filter names. If you don't remember them, go back into Photoshop and find them again and take note of them. I'm not saying you need to redo your images, you just need to find the filter names again in the filter palette. And you want to list them all. A, filter, B, now I'm doing this sort of magazine style where I'm going to show 4 images and I'm saying clockwise from top left, filter A, filter B, filter C, filter D. You may also choose to do 4 individual captions. We'll come back to that. So I want to have 4 images on this page. I'm going to show you a few options for doing that. And you want to keep the image at the same general size and scale. Well, first I'm going to show you how to do it half size. Then I'll show you a way to put it into slices, which is another interesting way to do this. So, my image file place, I want to put in image 6. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this in the same place. So copy, paste, it made a copy, it moved it a little bit in the placing. I want to place it back in the exact same place. So now I have a copy right on top of it. The second copy, I'm going to place image 7 into. I'm going to do this again, copy, paste. Image 8. And copy, paste one more time. Place. Image 9. And now what I have is 4 copies all on top of each other. All right. Actually, what I've done is the setup for doing slices. So I'll show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do 4 vertical slices of the image. So on the left will be image 6, image 7, image 8, image 9. Very simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, I'm going to set my reference point so it's the bottom right-hand corner, meaning all changes are going to be applied from this corner. I'm going to go to my width. This is the width of the actual image box, not to be confused with the scale of the image inside of the box. I'm going to go to my width and just do divide by 4. Making sure that this constraint proportions is not clicked. I don't want to adjust the height, I just want to adjust the width. Divided by 4. So now that image box is 1/4 of the overall width. Now I can see the box that was underneath. I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to do half. Divided by half. This puts the left-hand margin here. Now I'm going to switch my reference point and do half again of the width so that my right hand is there. Okay. This image that's now visible, so now you can see I'm getting these slices of the image. This one is the third, it is image 7. I'm going to, with the reference point in this corner, divide this by half, and then switch the reference point to this corner, divide it by half again, and there we have it. And then I can go to my first image and again make this 1/4. And this has given me 4 vertical slices of the image, each one processed a different way. So in which case I'd say I would adjust this caption. Filters left to right. And just list them that way. That's one way to do this. Another way to do this, and now, these could be vertical slices, they could go this way, they could be 4 horizontal slices, they could be 4 quarters of the image. Each quarter is a different image. Those are all the ways I can think of, but the slice technique could work all of those different ways. Let's say you think it's a little hard to see the differences between them. You could give it a little bit of space between. You could apply a rule, a white rule to the box. So you can see that gives me a little bit of a white stripe in between. If I make the rule thicker, it gives me a little bit more of a stripe. Just enough to help me see the split between the 4. That's up to you. You can do that or not do that. Entirely up to you. I'm going to go back to my image 6, and I'm going to do this a different way now. So that was one way to do it, where you keep it at the same size and you slice it up into the 4 images. This is another way where you're going to do 4 half-size copies. I'm going to show you an easy way to do that. So I first want to fit my frame to the box, just so that my frame is no bigger than the image that I'm showing. And I'm going to go up here, and with constrained proportions on, I'm going to divide this by 2. Now, what that did, that just scaled the frame, not the box. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to go here. I'm going to use my transform palette. Window, scale tool. This is what I need. Okay. Sorry, I'm using a different version of InDesign than I'm used to using, and they move these things sometimes. So I want the scale tool, and if I double-click it, I get this corner. If I double-click the box in the toolbar, I get this. And I can just enter 50%. That'll be half size. All right. I can copy and paste this, copy and paste, and I will have, I can select both, copy and paste. Now I have 4 half-size copies. This is another way to do it. If you want to compare images 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and show the entire image. This is a way to do it. So this is image 6. This should be image 7. Image 8. And the image 9. And there you have 4 half-size boxes. And again, so that's another way to do it. You may add outlines to the boxes if you want to have a rule between. If you don't, if you're happy with the way it looks just side by side like this, that's fine too. Alright, so that's the end of this video.